Welcome to the Bobby O Show. My name is Bob O. Potzner. I'm an attorney in Danbury, Connecticut. I live in Richfield, Connecticut, and I'm very excited about today's show. In fact, I'm wearing a very special t-shirt today, which I'll explain to you in a moment or two, about the Appalachian Service Project, which involved 312 volunteers approximately from the Jesse Lee Church, and we'll get into that very soon. And I've got a parent volunteer, and I've got 4 young students who participate in the program, and it's very exciting to hear about positive things in our society. Too many times you turn on the TV and you hear about the negative. But it's so wonderful to have a very positive show talking about very positive things, and with these students and the volunteer who's here today, have a lot to say in a positive way. You may recall having seen a show a few weeks ago with Steve and Shannon, who were 2 people who are the leaders of the program as well, and one's a volunteer. And I always promise to have the students come back, and that's what I'm doing today. So let me have them introduce themselves, just their name first, and we'll get into them a little later on. Let's go around the table, starting with Lloyd.
My name is Lloyd Mills.
Thank you.
My name is James Hess.
I'm Deb Ollie.
My name's Sophia Begonia. I'm Casey McClellan.
And I want to welcome you to this show, and I'm wearing this very special shirt, and I'm afraid to stand up because it may interfere with the sound, but I'm going to turn my shirt around, and maybe someone's going to, I guess it doesn't really show here, so I can't show it, but I'm going to have someone, let's say, Casey, do you want to tell us what's on the back of your shirt?
Yeah, so the back of the shirt, it has the Bible verse, Matthew 5:16, which is be the light. That was the theme of ASP this year. And what that means to us is basically we try to bring the light down in Appalachia, and we try to share our light up here in Connecticut as well. And also there's a candle in a mason jar, and it shows all the stars, which are constellations for the 5 states that ASP serves.
Thank you very much. Before I get into explanation about the program, I'm going to have each of you spend about a minute talking about yourself, and you'll introduce yourselves. Go ahead, Lloyd, you go first.
Yeah, I just graduated from Ridgefield High School, and I am going to be a freshman at Northwestern University, and I'm majoring in manufacturing and design engineering. I also plan on potentially continuing to do theater because I've done theater all of high school and mock trial, and I've loved those things. And yeah, I also want to continue to do community service, so I've done Lion's Heart and ASP, and I've loved helping communities, so yeah.
I actually judged mock trial, but I couldn't do Ridgefield because I was on the Board of Education for many years in Ridgefield, and I lived there, so I did the first 2 rounds, but never Ridgefield because of a conflict of interest.
Huh, that's so fun.
Next.
My name is Seamus. I'm a rising senior going to Ridgefield High School. I play track, and I love doing basketball in my free time. I plan on doing ASP again next year, and I love doing community service.
I'm glad to see you like basketball. You can tell from the picture of Bobby O, you see a Duke 1 shirt.
Yeah.
I did not play varsity basketball at Duke University, but I'm a big basketball fan, and I love the sport. I miss playing it. Since COVID, I stopped playing, but I love playing. Next, I think you're probably a senior in high school, a little older than that.
I'm a senior,
But
but
not-
not a senior in high school, that's for sure.
And what is your name?
I'm Deb Ollie. I am a native Ridgefielder. I was not born here, but moved here when I was very young and attended all the school systems in Ridgefield, and then went on to Duke University, so we share that in common.
I'm serious. What school was that again?
Duke, have you heard of that?
Yes, I have. Let's go Duke.
But loved Duke and got my physical therapy degree there, so I'm a retired physical therapist. My husband and I live in Ridgefield. We have a grown son, and in addition to Appalachia Service Project, I'm very involved in a lot of other volunteer projects through the church, and keep busy that way.
And you'll explain in a few moments when I get back to you what ASP stands for, et cetera, et cetera. Next.
As I said, I'm Sophia Begonia, and I'm a rising junior in Ridgefield High School. I play varsity volleyball there, and I love it so much. I'm involved a lot in the community. I do like 4 clubs for the high school, and I'm, of course, involved in ASP and National Charity League, which is mother-daughter charity work.
Volleyball is a great sport, and I'd be the first person to be called for holding the ball before it's slapped. What position do you play in volleyball?
I'm a libero, which is mainly a defensive specialist.
And do they rotate positions? Or
Yeah.
just how many women are on the court at the same time?
6.
6. So do you rotate players in and out, and how many players participate?
On our team this year, there's 16 on varsity.
Oh, wow.
So,
That's cool.
yeah.
And last but not least,
I'm Casey. I'm a rising senior at Ridgefield High School. I'm the manager of the girls basketball team at Ridgefield High School, and I'm also part of a few clubs. I do National Charity League as well, and obviously ASP.
you might appreciate this story. I wore that Duke 1 basketball shirt when I met Rebecca Lobo in Danbury, Connecticut, and she was at a fundraiser. Her mother passed away from breast cancer, and she came as a fundraiser, Rebecca did. And I went up to her with my shirt on and said, do you mind taking a picture with a Duke person? She said, in a very explicit way, said, we beat Duke every time we played them, so you can wear that shirt anytime you want. So she took a picture with me. I'm glad to hear about all you guys. You have great activities you participate in. Deb, let's go to you. Please tell us, what is the ASP program? Because some of our viewers haven't yet seen the first show. What is ASP about?
Sure. ASP stands for Appalachia Service Project. It's a ministry that started back in 1967. It was founded by a Methodist minister, Glenn Tex Evans, to really improve the housing conditions of the Appalachian states, which is Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, and Tennessee. The focus is really on not starting from scratch and building the homes, but making them warmer, safer, and drier. So anything that could make a home warmer, putting on insulation, repairing holes in the walls, for example, drier, things like roof repair, warmer, safer, drier, safer. Maybe some of the homes don't have egresses to let them get out. Stairs are broken, for example. So anything that would fill one of those categories would be something that we could work on. So it's a little bit different than Habitat for Humanity, where they start from scratch and build a home up from the floor right on up.
And Deb, you have some photos we're going to show that show the kind of work being done, and we got several pictures, and we may accidentally intersperse them, but I think we can find some photos of your work, your photos, that might be of use to us. And you can look at the screen over there. Do you see?
Okay, that one, that goes back to actually how I got interested in ASP. You had asked me that a while ago, and I'll just explain that photo first. My parents were involved in ASP long before I was. My dad taught the basic skills, which is something that every one of our volunteers get trained in before they go. We feel really important to make sure that we prepare our volunteers before they go down. My dad taught basic skills. That's my dad in the yellow and green striped shirt. And my mom did the welcome home party. So my parents were involved in the program long before I was, as was my sister. She was involved in the program before I became interested in it. I started being involved in the program with my son, which is the next picture.
Let's go to the next picture, please. If we
When-
can. Is that there?
Oh, I guess that the next picture got cut out there.
That's
There's my
okay.
son.
Okay,
when
great.
my son was a freshman in high school, he was interested in going on the program, and so that's when I went with him, which was in 2009. But now if you flip to the next picture, this is where I started working, and I love this picture.
Who's the lady in the colored shirt? The
That is
tie-dye.
me.
You're in the tie-dyed shirt.
I'm the tie-dyed shirt.
Explain to these people here what a tie-dyed shirt. They probably don't know what a tie-dyed shirt is,
Oh.
but it was our generation.
Well, we have theme days on ASP, and one of the theme days is Tie-Dye Tuesday, where everyone's supposed to wear tie-dyed shirts. So if you look closely there, several of the people have tie-dyed shirts on. It's sort of to boost morale and build team spirit. But the reason that I love that picture so much is we are doing a hug to a house. And I know that you had spoken to me about that. You saw me in Jesse Lee Church doing a children's moment.
Now, let me explain that for a second. After the last show that we did involving this program, there was a church service that following Sunday. And I had never been to a church service before, except for funerals and things, but I'd never been before. But Shannon Cobb, who was a volunteer, invited me, and you did a skit that was a hysterically funny skit. It was intended to be funny, right?
It was intended to be funny, but it was intended to be informative to the kids.
It was too.
Because I was talking to the kids about, have you ever hugged a house? And the picture is showing what a hug is for a house. When we go down to Appalachia, there's something that's called a hug, and what it is putting the siding up on a house. The first thing we do is put the plastic moisture barrier on a house, and then we put the foam insulation on a house, and then we put the siding up. But the thing that I love so much about it is when we go down there, it's called a house hug. And to me, a hug is enveloping someone. You know, when I go to give someone a hug, we put our arms around them and squeeze them tight. And I love the analogy because we go down there to serve, and giving a house hug is just our way of showing hope and love to the people of Appalachia.
I have a question before I do that. I'm going to ask Lloyd first because we're going to have you, Deb, explain a little bit about the training program. Lloyd, right now, if you gave me a hammer and nail, I could probably connect the two, but that's about it. What kind of training did you get before? How many years did you go?
This was just my 4th year.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
4th is, so you went
Yeah.
each year from you were in high school. Okay, I don't know, did you know anything about building and putting nails to walls or anything like that? Okay.
Not really,
So
honestly.
tell me about the training program that you went through.
Yeah, so my freshman year, or like the summer after freshman year, you do the basic skills kind of course. So that involves just like learning like how to put a hammer to a nail, like how to put a ladder up, the very, very basic things. And you end with a step stool that you can just like bring home. And then we do ramp building as well. So that's a little bit more advanced, and you're in like a bigger group of like, I think like 6 people, 6 or 7, and you build like 3 portions of a ramp.
Did you get trained in Connecticut before you went down and doing those different?
Yeah,
That's
in
what I was-
Richfield.
Oh, and
In
it was all in
Richfield.
Richfield. Okay. And do you also, are you part of the car washing? When I walk,
Yes,
I walk
yes.
3-4 miles pretty much every day. I go by the church. Whenever you have your car washes,
Yep.
in a nice way, I get attacked by all the kids. I said, but I want my car now. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Tell me about the car washing. What do you guys do for fundraising?
So every year the ASP does car washes. People like come support ASP. They just come with their car. We wash it. Usually we get donations. You're not forced to donate, but it is usually what happens.
When kids like you ask for money, we can never say no. And actually, as walking by, I usually would give a little cash on me. I don't have a lot of cash when I'm walking, but it's the fundraising part is something that you learn about how important that is. Anything about training that you had? And I don't want to cut you off a little bit, but I want to get a little bit. Tell me about the training that you went through to be able to go. How many years did you go down there?
This was my first year doing it. So I just did basic skills a few weeks before the trip. And then a few weeks after that, I did ramp building. And we use those ramps as wheelchair ramps. And I believe we do use them on ASP too. So we learned how to build the wheelchair ramps. And during basic skills, I learned most of what I needed to know for my project.
When I was an undergraduate at Yale, they had some classes in sciences, and I was pre-med first initially, so it wasn't big for me, but there was a class called Biology for Poets, Chemistry for Poets. And that was for people who wanted to get a flavor for the courses, but weren't going to really be that proficient in it. So I guess if you had a training program for me, there'd probably be training for poets, or maybe training for lawyers. Sophia, did I get the name right?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I've had your name wrong every time. Tell me about your training that you had a little bit.
They kind of covered it all, but I wanted to like touch on how they put a fun aspect to it, because they could just have us put nails in a piece of wood, but they let us take home what we make, because we make a little step stool with like 2 steps. So they make it fun in a way where you want to come and you want to make the stool so you can take it home and show like, oh mom, I learned how to make a stool today. So they make it fun.
You're a volleyball player, you said. Did you have any time to play any sports down there, or was it all work and eating ice cream?
It was, well, it's a work like from 9 to 4-ish. And then you basically have recreational time after that, other than like, sometimes there's nighttime devos and dinner and things like that. But otherwise you can play outside. There's sometimes basketball courts at your center, so they keep it fun.
Any comments about your training, Casey?
Yeah, they covered it. I did the same things. Also, I wanted to add to the ramp building. We actually do that in like, it's kind of like a crew like that you would have when you're down in Appalachia. So it's kind of like similar to the kind of work you'll actually be doing and the kind of group you'll have.
I mentioned ice cream before. I happen to know from the prior show I did that almost every night you all went for ice cream, right? Mm-hmm. How did they feed 312, actually not 312 because some people were in Kentucky, some West Virginia, but where would you go for ice cream? Who supplied the ice cream? Anyone want to take that? Oh, go ahead.
So we would just pick a adult, and then they would drive us. There's usually a like a CVS or like a grocery store, and sometimes there is ice cream places, but you pick a group of 6 of your friends, and then you hop in a car and you go with an adult. So it's super fun.
When I did the other show, someone commented, either Shannon or Steve, mentioned that that people who have no money, and these are very poor people, a lot of them you dealt with, some people supplied ice cream cones or popsicles or whatever, and it was a big deal for the person who provided it because of the lack of resources. Lloyd, do you want to comment upon that?
Yeah, it didn't happen this year, but last year when I was on ASP, on the last day, our homeowner made my entire crew of 7 people. He made us all spaghetti and meatballs, and like in our minds, like he did not seem to have like the funds to do that, but like it was just such a sweet gesture, and it like meant a lot to us, and it clearly like felt good for him to do it. So I would like to think it meant a lot to him too.
There's another expression that the giver gets as much thrill out of a gift as the giving. Do you want to say something, Deborah?
I was going to say the people of Appalachia have such large hearts, and in line with that story, more than several years ago, probably now more like 6 or 7 years ago, we had our youth pastor at Jesse Lee, Neil Bowes, tell us this story. Every Thursday is the family picnic. And so it's
at Jesse Lee or down there?
In Appalachia,
Okay.
at ASP, every Thursday, every week. And so we're to invite the families to come to the family picnic and join us. The entire center, which is the group where we stay. When we go down there, we stay at a certain center. So this year we went to 4 centers: Leslie, Kentucky, Nicholas County, Fayette County, and Kanawha County, West Virginia. So each center has a picnic on Thursday, and we invite the families. And one year, Neil Bowes was telling us a story about a family that one day wanted to thank the crew of 6 individuals or 7 individuals for the work that they were doing. So they went out and bought a pizza for lunch. And if I was having 6 hungry people, particularly high school youth at my house, I certainly would buy more than 1 pizza, because you know how hungry high schoolers can be. But this family went out and bought 1 pizza, and of course our Ridgefield youth were very gracious and said thank you. And they all shared this 1 pizza by having 1 piece of the pie. And Thursday came rolling around, and Neil was saying to them, he was the crew leader with someone else, he said, "You're going to join us for the picnic Thursday night, aren't you?" And they kept putting it off and kept putting it off. As it turned out, they couldn't join them for the picnic Thursday night, because the money that they would have spent on the gas to drive to the picnic is the money that they had used to go buy the pizza. And that's really the heart of the Appalachian people. They are so appreciative for the work that we do. They wanted to give back, but they had to make the decision between buying the pizza for our crew to say thank you or putting gas in their car to come to the picnic.
Sophia, how does that story hit you?
It's relatable for me because last year, not this year I didn't have a homeowner because the house was in such bad condition that it couldn't be lived in. Last year I had a similar story, kind of. Our homeowner had 2 kids, and it was a single mom, and she bought us all ice cream cones for like halfway through the week, and it was just super sweet because they're willing to give us stuff for doing things to their home because they're so grateful.
Let's show some of those pictures. I'm going to come back on some more questions, but let's see some more pictures of what the facilities looked like. Perhaps Seamus, can we do one of Seamus's, some of his pictures? I'm not sure if it's in the order. Actually, whichever order the pictures come up, we'll have whose picture is this?
That's mine. I'm in the red shirt. It was a USA theme day.
USA what kind of day?
The theme was USA.
Oh, theme day.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we were the only center with kids, so that was pretty nice to be able to talk to some of them. What was the question?
Well, any comments you have about the picture, whatever that rings to you. Look at the house behind. Which house are you working on? The one behind the gentleman in the white hat, or the next one?
We're working with the one behind the kid in the white hat.
Okay, and are those all people from Richfield?
Yes, so this is my crew. What we're doing is the little kid at our center loved dinosaurs, and he wanted to give us all dinosaur stickers, so I thought that was really nice of him. So, yeah.
Do you still communicate with that family or any of the families that you dealt with? Does anybody have? Lloyd, you have a story? 'Cause I'm going to give you a story also. Tell me about your connection with the families after you returned.
Yeah, we didn't communicate with them too much. This was the one 2 years ago, the same one that gave us the spaghetti and meatballs. But after, he like really connected with a couple people on our crew about like music. They had like very similar music tastes, and so he was always outside like talking with us. And so at the end, he was like, "Am I able to like continue to stay in contact with you guys?" Which I thought was really sweet.
Whose picture is this?
That's mine from this year.
Okay. What are you guys doing there?
Yeah, we are, I would say, finishing up and putting the finishing touches on a very, very long ramp.
Is that a handicap ramp? Or?
Yeah. So where the person in the yellow is sitting, we built that and a little bit more, and it like continues to stretch on. There's a photo that shows a little bit more later. But yeah, yes,
Is that the
right
photo?
there. So the wheelchair ramp's very long. It meets the house like right out of frame and then continues up a little bit more.
May I presume that house had a child or an adult who needed the ramp?
Yes.
So how would you know how to build that ramp so that it didn't fall down or was done properly? Was there an engineer with you, or maybe your future you was there?
There was definitely a couple adults that are like very experienced with engineering. So like during the site visit, which is on Sunday night, like when we get there, you go to the site visit. So we had like a couple adults, but especially one that was very experienced with engineering, look at it. And most of it had already been built. So like there wasn't too much to decide, but there's also the like ASP approved manual that like shows you like step by step how to do most of those things. So yeah.
When I asked you before about the connection with people who you worked with down there, by that I mean the people whose houses you worked on, you made some comments. Before I make a comment about that, anyone else have a connection that they've still maintained with someone on the trip? I guess perhaps not. My daughter went to Miami of Ohio, in Oxford, Ohio, and she became a special education teacher, which she is at Staples High School in Westport. And she did her student teaching. Half of it was done in the Midwest, and half was in Belize, the country of Belize. And it's a very poor country. And Jessica, my daughter, for a couple of years in a row, would send down holiday gifts to the family. They'd send some gifts back, but it was a big deal to the families because the house she stayed at were people who were, quote, well off, and they didn't have very much. So sending it back and forth, I think, made an impression upon my daughter. And we did it for a couple of years, as I said. I thought maybe you guys seem to have had that kind of impact from the people who you worked on the houses for.
We may not, the five of us, but there are people that go down that are still connected to the families, either via Facebook, letters, or some mechanism.
And you're still connected because how many years have you been doing this?
I've been doing it 16 years.
Yeah, so you've been pretty connected in that as well. Let's go back. I cut you off a little bit. We'll come back to the students in a little bit. You were telling the story about how you got involved and what your activities are. Tell us how you're connected in the last 3 or 4 years or more with the program out of Jesse Lee in Richfield, Connecticut.
Well, I had started with when ASP started, but Jesse Lee hopped in about in 1983. And our first group was 11 individuals that went. So we have grown tremendously in that time. And I did want to add to what the boys and Casey and Sophia had mentioned as far as the training goes. Not only do we do construction training, but we also do orientation training. So these kids have a lot of training and are well invested before we go, because in addition to learning the basic skills, doing ramp building, and then doing the car washes, they also have to sell stock, 25 shares of stock at $10 each, and they have to go through 4 orientations that are each 2.5 hours. And the orientations go over safety, sensitivity, and stewardship. So Jesse Lee has quite an intensive program before they even get to go on the trip. We have built up year after year after year from 11 members right on up to 312. And that's pretty significant. For every 5 youth we take, we have to take 2 adults. And I remember being on an ASP seminar because they were talking about how to deal with large groups. And I thought, oh, that would be wonderful for us to learn how to best help, with a large group. And they define a large group as 45 individuals, and we have 312. So I thought that's pretty special. And they said, well, how do you recruit your people? And I said, we don't really recruit our individuals. It's word of mouth, and the kids just come. The bigger challenge for us is recruiting adults and how to get enough adults to be able to manage the youth that want to come.
I'll make an analogy to Duke basketball since we're both Dukies. Duke doesn't recruit. They have to, people come, they want to go there. It's the same kind of thing for you guys in the program. Steve Kopic is not on screen today. He was on the last time, but he's here today and he helped organize this. Just tell me a minute or two about Steve working with you. I'll pick any. Seamus, you want to talk about that? What Steve does?
Steve was actually in my crew this year.
Lucky you.
Yeah, he was one of my adult leaders. It was great working with him. He led us on how we should fix up the house. Basically every aspect of while we're on the work site, he helped lead. So we were helping fix up, or we had to put this plastic film over a roof to waterproof it, and then put tin on top because the roof just was not well made. We also take 2 chimneys down, so he helped us plan out the whole thing. He helped us on the roof build it, so it was really nice. So I loved working with him.
Anybody else have a Steve story? As long as he's here, you can roast him if you want to. Anybody else have a Steve story? Did you work with Steve at all?
I haven't.
How about you 2 ladies now?
I have not.
How about the
unfortunately.
training? Go ahead.
I work with Steve fairly closely. Steve is one of 4 individuals on the council, and we work pretty
What's the
darn.
council?
ASP has a council. There are about 9 individuals that oversee the ASP away program and then the home program that we do. The home program was broken off when we had COVID. We weren't sure whether we would be able to go down to ASP, down to Appalachia, and so we had some people that stayed here and worked, and it's something that we've just continued to develop for people that don't want to go on the trip. They can stay here and do the same type of work. So the council is kind of divided a little bit now, where some work at the home program and some work on going down to Appalachia. And Steve and myself, Sandy Carpenter, Abby Tatesworth, work very hard to put the program together to take the people down to Appalachia. So I can only speak good things about Steve Kopic.
Let's give Steve a hand. Come on. Hey, Steve. Okay. That would be $10, Steve. Okay, next, I want to go to Casey. I think you and Seamus spoke at the church service, which, as I said before, I was very impressed with. Tell me what it was like to stand in front of your congregants, I guess it would be. You spoke for about 5 or 10 minutes in front of 150 people, I think, more or less. What was it like telling your story, first of all, at the church service?
It was definitely a little bit nerve-wracking. I was I knew a lot of the people, but a lot of people I didn't know, either they go on ASP or they're just part of the community, but I just wanted to share my story. I was lucky enough to have Deb ask me, and it was really cool to get to talk about my experience.
And you spoke also, Seamus?
I didn't speak for as long because I didn't speak about my experience, but I mostly introduced the church service, so I just had a quick speaking part. It was still a bit nerve-wracking because of the large amount of people, but I enjoyed the experience.
Well, length is not the critical. For example, the Gettysburg Address is one of the shortest speeches of all time, and it's probably one of the most famous ones. So it's often quantity no, quality yes. We as lawyers could learn that lesson, I think, pretty much. We have an old expression about closing our briefcase, which means when you're done making your point, sit down and shut up. And that's, I'm not telling you to shut up, I'm just saying that's the discussion. Let's get at some more pictures. Either Casey or Sophia. Let's see if we get some pictures. I know it's sort of out of order, and I told my crew to do it in a certain order. Whose picture is this?
Oh, that's mine.
Okay, now where are you in the picture? Is that the person with the ponytail or the pigtails?
Yeah, I have pigtail braids. I'm the one in the tie-dye shirt. This is me and my group doing the posts of like steps up to a deck. And funny story about this, we actually filled the hole with dirt, but it was wet. So the whole thing expanded and all of the steps became unlevel, so we had to redo the whole thing at the end of, on the Friday right before we left. But as you can see, it's a very there's a lot of people just to level a post.
Well, and they're doing hard work. How do you know it was level? Did you use something called a level?
Yes.
What's a level?
It
It's you put it on top of the thing
Yes.
to make sure there's a little ball or something. Anyone
There's
told
a
us-
little bit of
Yes.
liquid.
and then there's an air bubble.
Yeah.
And if it's in the middle of the contraption, then it's level.
My wife would be impressed to know what a level is, but shh, don't tell her that. Let's see some more. Casey, let's see if you have any pictures of Casey. Let's see the next couple of pictures we have. Oh, yeah.
This is mine. We had a lot of pets on our site. Deb was also, she was my crew leader, but we had there was 9 or 10 pets, I think, including there was cats and dogs. So this is a picture of one of them. A lot of them were outside, so we got to talk to them and hang out with the pets, which was cool.
Made the trip more fun, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that was brought up just by Sophia and Casey in those last 2 slides that we tend not to think about, level and pets. So when we work, if construction is being done up here in this area, usually things are level, and usually you don't have to be bothered by lots of animals. But when we're down there, first of all, nothing is level to begin with, and there are animals all over the place.
Where do you live? What town? Richfield?
Ridgefield.
How many level lots do you know in
Well,
Richfield, Connecticut?
No, I don't mean the lots, but usually
Okay.
construction.
I was
if
being
you're
cute.
working on construction up here, generally things start as a level base. But when you get down to Appalachia, nothing is 90 degrees, nothing is level. So you go to fix something and you realize you're starting like this, or a floor is like this. And you're trying to work with your tools, and a cat is in your toolbox, or a dog is lying on something that you're trying to use. You're laughing because we all know this is so true. And so the working conditions down there, where we smile and snicker, are not generally as conducive to going quickly as it may be as if we're working up here.
Very true.
So we enjoy it, we laugh, and we keep going.
The picture we just had a second ago, if you can put that picture back up again, whose picture is that?
This is also my picture. You can see Deb's down there in the left corner. This is us putting our last piece of siding up on Friday right before we left. We cut, as you can see, it's like the angle at the very top. We cut it, and we didn't think we were going to be able to put it up because it was so high and we had the awning there. But we realized that we could use a drill to get it to stay. So that was just a great end to our week. We all rallied together and we all finished it, and we did.
What I noticed about that picture is there was someone holding the ladder on the bottom on each ladder. And it struck me because many years ago, a client of mine who was a very good builder went up a ladder about that height and didn't have someone holding it. And he fell off it and was out of work for 11 months. So when I was looking at the pictures, I was looking and noting the importance of safety. And perhaps, Lloyd, you want to talk about the safety where in the training program, how much emphasis is made by the trainers for safety purposes?
Yeah, so one of the, there's 4 orientation things, like Deb was saying earlier, that are 2.5 hours, and one of them is the whole 2.5 hours is dedicated to learning those basic safety ideas, rules about ladders and how many people you should have in a car, and if someone gets injured, everyone needs to leave with them, don't leave people on the work site. And then also at the basic skills and the ramp building, you're also learning the safety measures hands-on, which is very useful, I think, for when you actually get to Appalachia and are doing that kind of work.
It's like the Marines, right? No one gets left behind.
Yes. Yeah.
Anybody else have a comment about the safety training that you got up in Richfield for what you did down in Appalachia? Anybody have any stories about how there were some injuries that had to be dealt with while you were building? I see Deb smiling. I see Lloyd smiling. Either one of you, why don't you? I'm sure you're not laughing at someone. No, I'm sure you're not laughing at someone got hurt. But there's always a silver lining to the story.
I think we do a pretty good job with our safety training, and one of the things that we really, really work hard to do is make it interesting, because the orientations can be long, particularly when you're a youth that has homework. So we try to teach the safety training in a game format. We do what's called charades, Pictionary, game show, and train wreck, which are all games to teach the safety, hoping to make it a little bit more enjoyable. So we do like to brag a little bit about our safety record. That being said, when we get down to Appalachia, we're pretty good about not having a lot of work injuries. However, where we've had our biggest injuries are when we're playing soccer, frisbee, or having a game night. One of the injuries that I wound up having to bring someone to the hospital for was the pie in the face game, where we thought we broke somebody's nose. So most of the injuries that we've had to deal with have been totally unrelated to the work that we've done down there, and all related to sports and games.
My nose was broken 4 times. You probably can tell this is not a natural nose. My son played varsity football at Richwood High School for 4 years. And on his 16th birthday, we had a little party at our house, and we were playing football. And my son was proud of the fact that he went to stop a pass to me and broke my nose, and all the guys were laughing like crazy. I didn't think it was funny. Anybody else have a story about any injuries and how it was written? Okay, it's fine. Oh, you have another story? Go ahead. Lauren.
Yeah, similarly, this is not really part of the work site, but my brother, on his first year on the trip, there's lots of kudzu down there.
What is it?
Kudzu, which is like a vine that's
Okay.
invasive, and it like grows like crazy. And they were like doing something where they were like swinging on a vine, and there was a cliff nearby. Not super smart, but he like accidentally like slipped and let go and like fell down. Like now he tells the story. I don't think it was probably like a major cliff, but he fell down some cliff and landed right next to a big rock. But he ended up being safe. But
the stories are always bigger. They always get bigger.
exactly.
And year
I
after
don't
year
know
after
how
year, they
much
get
I believe, but yeah, that
I,
was.
I understand that the trip down is fun because you guys stop partway down there and stay at a church facility or whatever. One of the ladies want to take that question as to what it was like, both of you. Sophia, tell me about the trip down. Was it fun, and where'd you stay, and what happened?
The trip down, it's broken up into 2 days, just like the way back, but we start on Saturday morning and we drive halfway, and then we stop at a church, and usually we're so pooped that we gotta go to bed right after dinner, and then we do the rest of the drive on Sunday.
How was the food, Casey?
It's not amazing, but it's
Not amazing.
It gets the job done.
You were a lady by saying not amazing. Wasn't that good, was it?
Yeah.
Where's the food? Who supplies the food when
We
you're down
have chefs that make it. It's like cafeteria style, like at school. And so the chefs are always really great, and the food, it's good. Like, they try their best.
I volunteer periodically for the soup kitchen in Richfield, in Danbury rather, and one year I was making the meatloaf. And I'm not a good cook, and I'm really not a good cook. Even though my family owned a bakery business when I was a little kid, but I went there one year and made this meatloaf, and the people who were eating it said it was the best meatloaf they ever had. And I said, I guess the standards were pretty low to have my meatloaf be any good. Do you guys cook for the people down there at all, or is it all supplied by the chefs?
We make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for lunch, but that's
Very
that's
creative.
the majority of the cooking.
Very
that
creative.
we
Was it
do.
Skippy, I hope, or not? Was it crunchy or not crunchy?
Not crunchy.
Not crunchy at all.
Just a giant tub of peanut butter.
Okay. I want to ask you all, by the way, let me go back to Deb. You were talking about your involvement, and I keep cutting back and forth because I want to build on what you're saying. Tell me how things are different doing the program, let's say since COVID, versus how it was pre-COVID. And I'm just using it as a time frame, not necessarily the COVID interaction.
Well, first of all, I think everyone is more aware of the togetherness and the communal nature of things. We tend to be a little bit more conscious of sleeping on top of each other and just the awareness of passing on whatever sickness somebody may have. So that's much more conscious in our minds than what it was before. The other thing that people are more aware of is being careful that we don't spread anything to homeowners. because Appalachian people, the health down there is not as good as what it is up here. And that's because of a lot of the infrastructure. The hospitals down there are not set up as well. Many of the people that we serve are disabled. And so we have to be very conscious of that. When we first went down after COVID, we still had to wear masks. Thankfully, that's something that we don't have to do anymore. But for a while, we did. And that's just the nature of the beast in Appalachia, which is really unfortunate. One of the things that we do talk about in our training is food insecurity.
Food insecurity.
Food insecurity. Is that the right, did I say that right? Food insecurity. You know, some of the things that they can't get, food grocery stores are closing down there because they can't sustain themselves, which force the residents down there not to eat healthy. Again, that feeds right into the health issues. There are a lot of food programs out of the schools. They do a lot of food pantries, but the food pantries tend to have a lot of sodium issues. Canned green beans, canned corn, ramen noodles, fosters diabetes, fosters high blood pressure. So anything that would be putting people more at a greater health risk. And so we have to be careful of that, making sure that when we go down, we don't bring any germs, any bugs. And I don't think that was something that we were as concerned about previously.
You know, it's funny, you mentioned, I heard a phrase a few days ago called food desert. And I had never heard that phrase before, and it was referring to in inner cities. I think it dealt with Secretary Kennedy, who I'm not going to talk about in this show, but there was talking about having high quality foods and that kind of thing. And someone said to me the concept of food desert. I said, what's a food desert? And then that meant that you don't have a Stop and Shop or a Carluzzi's or Wright, whatever, ShopRite in every street corner, more or less. There's very few, and so therefore people are buying, instead of getting a nice baked potato, which is a healthier thing, they might be getting potato chips. And so people are forced to eat differently in poorer sections. And so hearing you say that concept brought to my attention the food desert thing. Did anyone notice any of the food differentials down there versus what you're used to seeing? Any comments, any of the kids?
Well, there was a food store that we went to like every day before we went to the site to buy supplies, and I just noticed that like everything was like way cheaper, like so that the city could afford it, like maybe like half the price of what we could.
You found the food cheaper. I was thinking it might be more expensive because you had to buy it, like if you buy a can of soda at a gas station on the highway, it might be $3.99 for a large Coke or something, whereas in the grocery store it's cheaper. But you said you found prices lower.
Yeah, like for, I believe the food store was called Kroger's compared to
Kroger's is down south, yeah.
Yeah, it's compared to the one in Richfield, Stop and Shop. So
I want to go around to each of you. We have about 15 minutes, 20 minutes left in the show, so we have plenty of time. I want to go to each of you to tell me, first of all, why each of you decided to get involved in this particular program. And for those of you who went back for more than 1 year, in your case, Lloyd, 4, why you went back. So let me start with, on the end of the table. Casey, you're going to go first this time.
Okay. I started because I just heard about the program. I've always seen the car washes, and me and my friend were just like, let's give this a try, and we did it, and we loved it. You really don't hear a lot of people that don't go back if they're able to. So yeah, after I did it my first year, I was absolutely like, I want to come back, and I've done it for 3 years now.
And is there one particular reason or incident that came up that made you feel like I want to come back?
I just feel like you're really making a difference. Like, I loved getting to get to know my homeowner and talk to her like my freshman year. She was just like so grateful, and it was nice to like make new connections and really feel like you're making a difference in people's lives.
Sophia?
The reason I joined Jesse Lee ASP is because, one, I'm religious, so I go to their church sometimes, and I heard it a lot about my friend's experience, so they told me about it, and they were like, you have to come and like help the community of Appalachia, so I was like, I'm in. So, and I'm very glad I did because it's such a fun time.
You said you're religious. You meant at Jesse Lee Church, or something like that at Jesse Lee?
Yeah.
So it's sort of like in Hebrew, I'm Jewish, there's tzedakah, charity, that's what they call it. If someone gives a gift to a Jewish person, they often will give $118. Why $118? Because 18 is chai for good luck and that kind of thing. So how did your religion connect you to this very awesome program you got involved with?
I mean, I heard about it through the church,
Oh, I
of
see.
course, and through my friends. And on the trip, we do things like morning devos, which is devotions, and there's, of course, on the back of the shirt, there's the Bible verse. So it's, you help the people down there, but you also get closer to the religion because of all the things that we do down there.
I'm sorry, for those who don't know, what's a morning devo?
It's just a devotion where we all stand in a circle outside, and one or two people will come and they'll just say a Bible verse or a story or something that makes them feel closer to God.
When I was playing basketball, which I stopped a couple years ago, as I said before, I'd play basketball at different locations. And every Saturday in the wintertime, I'd go to Southbury and play in a game. I'll play basketball anywhere. And it was at a Mormon church. And we started at 7 a.m. And the first time I went there, they said, Bob, we have to start praying first. So I had never done that before a basketball game before. And everyone sat around for about 3 or 4 minutes praying. And I just listened and participated, whatever. But I liked the fact, and I played ball anywhere, everywhere. I liked the fact that before we played basketball, there was a prayer. Didn't matter what the prayer was, didn't matter what the religions were, the people, but just doing that was an added inducement to drive 35 minutes in the morning to, it's 7, so leaving my house at 6:30 in the morning to play basketball, additional incentive. I know about your story, Deb, so let's go to Seamus.
Can I just
Oh, yeah.
address something that
Oh,
she
yeah,
said
yeah,
first
yeah,
of
sure,
all?
sure.
ASP is a Christian ministry, but I just wanted to reinforce that at least half of the individuals that we took were not Christian, were not affiliated with Jesse Lee. The program is open to anyone who is interested to come, and during the morning devotions or the evening gathering, all we ask is that individuals just sit and participate in whatever way they wish to participate. The whole premise of ASP is we respect people right where they are and accept them right where they are. So it is not something that you have to be Christian to participate in.
That's a very good point you make, and it just reminded me of something when I was in 3rd grade, which is many years ago. I lived in Shelton, Connecticut, in a school called Ferry School, and every morning, everybody had to stand up and do the Lord's Prayer. Well, I was the only Jewish kid in the class, and I will tell you, I felt very uncomfortable standing up in that situation, talking about the word. I never would repeat the words because I believe there's one God for all of us, but it wasn't my religion, and I felt very uncomfortable. So the way you described it is very important, how it's all of us. We the people, all of us. But thank you for your point in that regard. Seamus?
Well, I got a little bit of a late start. So I did it the summer after my junior year. I didn't hear about it freshman year just because none of my friends really went on it. But then my sophomore year, all of a sudden, like half my grade, or even more, was just like down south in Appalachia. So I started to text my friends. I'm like, what's going on? Why is everyone down there? They're like, oh, ASP. So I'm like, what's that? So I learned all about it my sophomore summer. Obviously, it was already going on, so I missed it that year. But then this year, I joined. I had a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to do it next year.
You are, okay.
Yeah.
Before I go to Lloyd, you said something I forgot to ask you, Deborah. You said ASP is a Christian ministry. What does that mean?
It was founded by a Methodist minister. The premises are based on Christianity. The theme is based on scripture from the Bible. All the messages are good stuff, but it is not exclusive to be a Christian,
Okay,
to have to
thank you.
participate.
And did you go to church every day you were down there, Sophie, or did you participate in
When
any
we
religious
were-
stuff down there?
It was mainly just the morning devotions
I see.
and stuff like that, but we never went to a church there.
I see.
It was more within the
So
ASP.
you guys are educating me. That's what I do. I rarely do shows about the law because I know a little bit about the law. I do shows on things I don't know much about, and that's why I'm enjoying this conversation because you guys are teaching me a whole lot of stuff. You're the last one about why you got involved. I think you kind of mentioned it earlier, but anything you want to add to?
Yeah. Both of my older brothers, so the one that got injured, and then I've got one that's 1 year younger than him, both of them did it in their, all 4 years of high school for them, and they both just loved it. So I was like, okay, I might as well try, and one of my best friends was doing it. So yeah, and then I just kept doing it because it was very enjoyable.
It's what you do is wonderful, and the people you help. The story I just told about when I was a third grader, someone may tell 20 years ago about when they were a little kid, somebody from Richfield, Connecticut helped them have a house that was more viable. And I'm sure the houses typically in that area, not that I'm being a little humble, or not being humble, the opposite of being humble, being a little arrogant. The housing down there is not typically what you'd see a house in Richfield, Connecticut. And I think is that an important lesson to anybody want to comment upon that, about what you saw about the poverty down in that area? Who wants to take that one? Casey, Sophia?
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of like, it's a shock when you get down there. It's obviously a much more rural area. There's a lot less like food places and stores. Like we were talking about, it is like a food desert, a lot of the towns that we're in. And then it's just, yeah, the houses are a lot smaller, a lot less like kept up. But all of the homeowners are very like proud of their homes, and they just want to see them be warmer and safer and drier.
You've all have seen the movie It's a Wonderful Life, maybe, right? Maybe, who here has not seen that movie? Oh my goodness gracious. Guys, you have got this. Okay, I'm not pushing it, but you got to watch it the holiday season. But the whole theme about it at the end is about what, Deborah? That you're rich if you have friends, not because you have a lot of money. But it's said better than that. You guys are making one promise for today, okay? When you come to the holiday season this year, and they have Jimmy Stewart's A Wonderful Life with Donna Reed, who you haven't heard of either, I'm sure. I want you guys to watch that show and remember being on this TV show about asking, and you're going to watch that show for the next 20 years, I'm sure, right, Deborah?
You got it.
Okay, we have a few minutes more, and I want to go through each person. I'll go in reverse order. I would like each of you to tell me something that you learned in doing this volunteer work that really has struck you and or will stay with you for the rest of your lives, or that may impact what you do in the future. And so it's not an easy question, but this is like the SATs, right? Sometimes you get questions you don't really expect, but I'd like you to think about exactly what it is that you've learned. I'm going to start with Deborah, because give you kids, young people rather. Any comment you have, Deborah? What you learned and what you take from the experience.
First of all, there's so much, it's hard to really narrow it down to one thing. But what I will say and share is that I have discovered more about myself than what I could imagine. I discussed with you previously, I have Parkinson's disease, which makes everything I do a little bit more of a challenge. But I'm not going to give up ASP. ASP is such an ingrained part of my life. I love the program. And although I've had to alter some things, ASP is not going to be one of those. So I can't go down there and build a wheelchair ramp and lift wood and lift drywall, but I can go down there and do siding, and that is going to continue to be something that I do no matter what. When we got on our site this year, Casey and I were at the same site. We pulled in to do the Sunday night site visit, and we pulled into the driveway, and I looked up, and my work site was 37 steps up. And we have to carry our supplies and our coolers and everything up 37 steps every day.
But you made it.
And I made it.
God
And
darn it.
every year I celebrate that, because I've learned so much more about myself and what I can do. And it's through ASP, and I'm not going to give up. And working with these youth who are absolutely fantastic, they spur me on. And it's just amazing, the people and the kids that we have in Ridgefield, Connecticut. They're wonderful.
And so are the volunteer adult leaders.
And we couldn't do it without them.
Seamus, well, you're one of them. Seamus, quickly, what is something you learned?
I learned how easy it is to be the light for other people. That's our motto for this year, because we made the homeowners days. It was they were so happy that we were down there
That is
working
such
on
a
their
great
house.
lesson.
Yeah.
I'm only cutting you because you only have a few minutes, a few
Yeah.
seconds left. Sophia, anything you want to add?
I learned how to always volunteer to do things, because whether it's helping someone in the kitchen in the center or offering to help tighten a bolt, you always want to volunteer to help someone out.
Casey, get the last word before I give a closing, real quick.
I just learned about all the kindness down there from the people from Jesse Lee from Ridgefield, and then also the people in Appalachia.
I want to say this to close out the show. I had high expectations for how great a show would be because of you guys, not me. And you guys exceeded my expectations. I'm really honored and humbled. I'm truly honored and humbled to hear you guys speak. In fact, I'm going to send this clip to the Superintendent of Schools of Richfield to show Dr. De Silva what you guys are, because you guys are fabulous. I'm going to take a picture of you guys after the show so I can keep it on my show, perhaps in the opening. And this has been Bobo Potzner on The Bobby O Show. Really thankful for the involvement of these people and Steve, who's not online. Shalom.